Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about screens and splash screens in VShell. So let's get right into it. Now think of screens as containers for your application content. They help organize your application more. Like for example, let's say that you have a newspaper application. So you have the main screen that displays all of the newspapers. And then you have another screen that has some contact information, and then you have another screen that has some preferences for the user to change. This is basically the concept of screens. They help you to make more stuff in your application. They're like single page web applications. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to include shell UI in our application. So we can do this by typing link rel equals style sheet, href equals your rel static static file name equals css slash shell UI dot css. So now with that we've linked shell UI, now we need to link shell utils. Before our body end tag, can just go ahead and type script src equals URL static file name equals js slash shell utils.js. So now that we have included shell UI and shell utils, we can run our Flask server. Okay, and then we can access our application by going to the example route, and you can see that it's empty. So now let's add our splash screen. So we can go back to our application, just turn off the server, and right over here at the beginning of the body tag you can create a div with a class of splash screen. Make sure that the screen is with a capital S. Now we need to give this div an ID of splash screen, so we can do this by typing ID equals splash screen. So now we have our splash screen. We can add a paragraph and type our application name. Now let's add our background. So right after our splash screen we can create another div with a class of background. So now we have a background, so we can just close our server and run it again, and we can refresh our home page, and you can see that we have our background. Now let's create our first screen, and this is gonna be our main screen. So right after our background we can create another div with a class of screen. Now you need to give your main screen an ID of main. This will help VShell identify that this screen is your main screen. So now this is our main screen. We can give it a title bar by creating a div and giving it a class of title bar, and inside of the title bar we can type our application name just like so. So if you just close our server and run it again, and then you can refresh, you can see that now we have our title bar. Now let's add some content to our screen. Outside of our title bar, I'll just add a paragraph with some random text. So yeah. Now actually we can create our second screen. This is gonna be our about screen that has some contact information. For example, the screen could be anything you want really. So outside of our main screen, just go ahead and create a new div and give it a class of screen also, and then you can give that div an ID of pretty much anything you want. However, the main screen has to have an ID of main. However, any other screen can have any other ID. So we can give it an ID of about screen. So yeah, this is our second screen. We can also add a title bar by creating a div with a class of title bar. Inside of that div we can say about, for example, and then we can also give it some content. So yeah, now we can just close the server and run it again, and then we can refresh. You can see that our screen content is right over here. However, where is our second screen? Well, you need to add a button to open the another screen using shell utils. So we can go back to our application and we can add a button in our main screen by adding a button over here and then giving it a class of btn. So yeah, this is our button, and then you can say open about screen. So yeah, now we can just run the server again and we can refresh. You can see that we have our button over here. However, when we click on it, nothing happens. Why? Because we have not told vshell what screen to open. So we can go back to our application over here and into our button we can add an onClick attribute over here, and inside of that OpenClick onClick attribute you can say open screen with a capital S and then double braces, then inside of those single quotes, and inside of those single quotes is gonna be the ID of your screen that you want to open. So over here the ID of the screen that I want to open is about screen. So over here I can just say about screen, and this is gonna tell vshell, hey, you should open the screen with the ID of about screen. So yeah, let's just close our server and run it again. Now if we refresh, we have this example screen, and then if we click on the open about screen, it opens the about screen successfully. Now let's add a button that directs us back to the main screen. So we can open up VS Code again and close our server, and right after the paragraph we can add a button. We can give it a class of btn, and you can give it an ID, an onClick, and then you can say open screen, and over here double brackets, single quotes, and inside of this is gonna be main, so it's gonna open our main screen, and inside of that button we can say open main screen. So yeah, now we can run our server and we can refresh. See that now we have our example screen, and if we click on open about screen, it opens the about screen, and then if we click on open main screen, it redirects us to our main screen again. So yeah, this was today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel, and see you later.